Learn me, I'll learn you. Diversity, teach me, I teach you like university. Freedom be.
Hi, I'm Judy Blair, and I'm an anti-racism consultant specializing in working with white folks. I'm also a part of the team at Diverse City, and I'm excited to bring you this video series. In this series, we're taking a look at 15 different aspects of white supremacy culture. Now, when I use the words white supremacy in this context, I am not talking about white supremacists. I'm not talking about Proud Boys or white nationalists. I'm talking about the idea that whiteness is the ideal. It is the assumed, it is the default in our culture. The 15 aspects that we're discussing in this video series come from a list published in 1999 by Tema Okun, an activist and anti-racism trainer. The list itself is the culmination of work by multiple people, including Tema, but also including Kenneth Jones, Daniel Buford, James Williams, Sharon Martinez, and others. Over the past 2 decades, the list has served as a useful framework for recognizing, disrupting, and dismantling white supremacy in our day-to-day lives. I want to be really clear here. The values and norms this video series is addressing are not exclusive to Western white culture, and they're not inherently good or bad. They are merely often invisible ways of being that are part of our socialization. If we want to create a more just and equitable world, we have to interrogate these values when we notice them coming up, checking to see if an alternate way of being might provide better, more equitable results. A word of caution: these norms should not be taken as a checklist of behaviors to eliminate, with the alternatives enshrined as a cure for all that ails us. Critical analysis and weighing of these norms when they crop up is vital. There is no shortcut to uprooting white supremacy. Each video in this series focuses on one aspect from the list, and today's aspect is paternalism. So paternalism, the hallmark of paternalism, is making decisions for other people without consulting them. And we see this happening a lot, actually. It hooks into that sense of urgency that we often have, that we need to make a decision really quickly, and so we don't have time to consult everyone who's going to be affected by it. And so we invoke paternalism and we just go ahead and do what we think is best for everyone, ourselves included. Paternalism also means that those who don't have power often don't understand how decisions are getting made. There's no transparency around decision making. And so we can see this in the parent-child relationship. If a parent says, do this thing, and the child doesn't want to and asks why, the parent says, because I said so, that's opaque. There's no transparency there. If the parent instead explains why they want the child to do the thing that they've asked the child to do, the child can then weigh whether they want to do it or not based on their own self-interest. Paternalism also means that people in power making those decisions without input from the people being affected by the results of those decisions either don't think that the effects on those people are important, or they think they know better than those people what the effects will be, and it will be good for them in the long run. None of that feels very good. So if you're encountering paternalism, take a moment, take a step back, and ask, whose voices are missing? Who do we need to hear from in order to make a decision that fully includes the people who are going to be affected by this decision? How can we hear from them? And then you have some decisions to make about whether you have time to do that, where we start invoking our sense of urgency, or whether you're afraid that they're going to tell you something you don't want to hear, which can invoke our perfectionism and our defensiveness. But we need to ask these questions. So ask.
Learn me, I'll learn you. Diversity, teach me, I teach you.